Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed.
Great to be here.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into, well, an extraordinary set of sources. They really unravel the profound human element woven into online deception. And our focus. It's this remarkable Twitter space discussion that brought together a truly unprecedented group of individuals.
Yeah, quite a mix.
We're going to explore how Alberto Hill, a seasoned cybersecurity professional, but with a, let's say, controversial past,
Definitely controversial.
how he was able to foster this environment of radical transparency and trust.
Which is key, right? That trust factor.
Absolutely. This unique atmosphere allowed for these incredibly candid conversations, the kind you rarely hear in public.
Things people usually keep very private.
Exactly. Bringing together voices that, under normal circumstances would likely never share a platform.
It's just not something you see every day.
It's a story that goes beyond mere technology, isn't it? It delves right into the heart of human connection.
And these unexpected paths to building credibility, especially in our complex digital world.
It's a fascinating look, really, at how a personal history, even a profoundly challenging one,
And his was certainly challenging.
can become the very foundation for unique insight and connection.
It almost becomes a strength in a strange way.
We'll explore how this dynamic play out, particularly in a revealing test space that unexpectedly preceded the main event,
Right, the test space. That was something else.
offering these really candid moments and surprising perspectives.
Those moments truly showcased Alberto's, I think, rare ability to foster genuine candor and courageous sharing.
Yeah, it kind of illustrated precisely how this extraordinary level of trust was actually established before the main event even happened.
You saw it building in real time.
So this journey sounds incredible, but also, incredibly delicate. From what you've described, how challenging was it for Alberto to even extend such a risky invitation, as the sources call it?
Oh, hugely challenging, I'd imagine, given his past.
And what was truly at stake for someone like Anna Rowe to accept it?
Her reputation, for one, aligning with someone with that history.
Big risk.
A calculated one, perhaps.
We're going to unpack this journey from that initial risky invitation to these deeply personal revelations.
And examine what it tells us about building trust in, well, an increasingly complex digital world.
You'll hear details that truly bring this story to life, especially how Alberto's own vulnerabilities kind of opened doors for others to share their truths.
That's the crux of it, I think.
Okay, so to truly understand how this groundbreaking conversation came to be, we first need to understand its architect, right? Alberto Hill.
Absolutely. You have to start with him.
He's described as a self-taught cybersecurity expert.
Yeah.
Decades of experience.
Impressive credentials, collaborations with Interpol even.
So a truly formidable technical background. But as we said, his story isn't just about the tech expertise.
No, not at all. What's truly fascinating here is his own complex and very, very public past.
Yeah, the sources mention this label Uruguay's first hacker jailed.
Right, following the widely publicized Operation Bitcoins affair back in 2017. It's an indelible label.
And he consistently maintains his innocence regarding the specific crime.
He does. He describes his imprisonment as a sad, unbelievable, yet true story that fundamentally changed him. That's his narrative.
And despite being cleared of any criminal record after a, 4-year process?
A rigorous 4-year process, yeah. But this experience isn't just a footnote for him. It's absolutely central to his public story.
It seems like a profound part of his identity.
Exactly. And surprisingly, it became a cornerstone of his ability to convene such diverse voices. It's counterintuitive, almost.
How so?
Well, his personal ordeal with the justice system, which he details in his book Operation Bitcoins, Log into Hell, it underscores his belief that, human knowledge belongs to the world and that systemic failings need to be challenged. This very public vulnerability, this willingness to share such a raw, difficult personal history.
That's what sets him apart.
Genuinely. It forms the basis of his unique credibility. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real.
And his approach to this past isn't one of concealment, you said. It's the opposite.
Quite the opposite. His radical approach to transparency, as the sources call it, forms the bedrock of his public persona.
He openly discusses his flaws, past mistakes.
Everything. Which, as we'll see, became this powerful tool for disarming others, making them feel comfortable sharing their flaws.
He's even talked about being hacked himself.
Yeah, and get this, intentionally infecting his own computers out of pure curiosity.
Wow. Okay.
It shows he's not just an expert in theory, right? He's someone who has lived the chaotic reality of the digital world, flaws and all.
So this unflinching willingness to expose his own imperfections, his struggles, even
It
anxieties.
makes him incredibly relatable. And crucially, trustworthy in a way that, frankly, polished perfection rarely is. People connect with that honesty.
And this radical transparency you're saying is absolutely crucial because it directly influenced Anna Rose's decision to participate.
Directly. Anna, for those unfamiliar, is a powerful advocate against online deception.
Right, she founded Catch the Catfish and Loveset.
Exactly. She's channeled her own profound personal trauma into this deeply impactful advocacy
And she accepted what was described as a risky invitation.
from an initially unknown figure with a controversial history, knowing full well he was someone who had been in prison.
That wasn't a small decision for her, surely.
Not at all. It speaks volumes about the unique credibility Alberto had somehow managed to build.
Not despite his past, but maybe because of it.
Perhaps because of his unvarnished honesty about it. Anna herself is a seasoned speaker, right? Countless platforms.
Yeah, podcasts, talks.
But her willingness to engage with someone like Alberto, with his public history on an unfamiliar platform like Twitter Spaces,
Which she'd never used before.
right, it highlights just how compelling his transparent approach must have been. She was stepping into an unknown, potentially volatile public arena.
And yet she felt safe enough to do so. That trust was already there.
Seems like it.
That's a powerful point about Anna's commitment. But one might also wonder, does aligning with someone with such a controversial past, even for a good cause, carry its own risks to her reputation?
Oh, absolutely. There's always a potential trade-off. Reputational risk is real.
How do you see that playing out? I mean, she even stated, that's my first space ever. I've never done one before.
Right. Lots of other speaking and podcasts, but never done a Twitter space before.
It shows her digital bravery, choosing to align with someone like Alberto with his complex past.
For the greater good of her mission, despite the perceived personal risk.
So the reward for taking this risky invitation from an unknown hacker who was in prison, as one source put it,
Was ultimately immense. It created an environment of trust and openness that few other contexts could replicate.
it was a calculated risk
A
then.
calculated risk that paid off profoundly, it seems.
Now, before Alberto convened this incredible main event, the big discussion,
Yeah.
he actually set up a kind of dress rehearsal, right? A test space.
That's right. Initially just for practical reasons.
But it quickly became something far more revealing.
Oh, definitely.
And what happened next in this test space is where things truly started to kind of diverge from the script.
Mhm.
It revealed something fascinating about how that trust was actually forged.
You saw the mechanics of it.
And the title. The title was Sad and Lonely Looking for Serious Long-Term Relationship.
Which is brilliant in a dark humor kind of way.
It speaks to Alberto's playful yet insightful skepticism about online interactions, doesn't it?
Completely. Stemming from his own experience, he said, of being bombarded by DMs from seemingly, hot women trying to hit on me.
Which he initially treated as a game.
Yeah, before realizing the pervasive and often malicious nature of online deception. He knew the territory. He understood the landscape he was about to explore.
So the initial purpose of this test was purely practical, to help Anna get used to Twitter Spaces.
Purely practical. She was a seasoned speaker, but totally new to Spaces. So Alberto patiently guided her, explained the mechanics.
Like what?
Like, you will be clicking on the link that I send you. You will be entering here as a listener. Basic stuff, but important for comfort.
You will see a notification saying that you are invited to speak and you have to accept that.
Exactly. This patient, step-by-step guidance, it further demonstrates his commitment to ensuring comfort and understanding.
Which contributes to building trust, especially on a new, maybe intimidating platform.
Definitely. Like a live public broadcast. He wasn't just inviting, he was supporting, enabling.
But this technical rehearsal quickly took on a life of its own.
It really did. Other individuals began to join, maybe drawn by the title, maybe by Alberto's presence.
And it created this raw, unscripted exchange.
Totally unscripted, which showcased his unique ability to foster candid sharing. It wasn't pre-planned, it was a genuine unfolding conversation.
Spiraling in the best way into unexpected territory.
Incredibly personal territory, too. This unscripted authenticity is what allowed for true connection to flourish. You could almost feel the walls coming down in real time.
And during this unexpected test, Anna's core philosophy emerged.
Yeah, it set a foundational tone for her advocacy, her resilience. She shared, quite openly.
What did she say?
Yeah, I think that's my personality type. When I go through something negative, I have to turn it into something positive.
Wow. That's powerful.
It really is. This candid moment highlighted her incredible resilience, her commitment to transforming trauma into constructive action.
A philosophy that resonates with Alberto's own journey, maybe.
Absolutely. Turning his past into a platform for advocacy, it showed her as someone who actively seeks purpose, even in adversity.
And then one of the most striking coincidences happened.
Oh, yeah. The appearance of Boston,
Who is Boston?
a Nigerian Uber driver whom Alberto had known for years, apparently from prior Twitter spaces. He just popped in.
And Alberto immediately defended him.
Immediately. And humorously, kind of preempting any prejudiced assumptions given the topic of scams, he said, "I can guarantee you I'm not joking this point. He's not a scammer."
That quick, unequivocal defense, especially about stereotypes around Nigerians and scams.
It was a powerful demonstration of Alberto's character, his commitment to fair judgment, instantly disarming potential skepticism.
And then he introduced Boston directly to Anna.
Right there, creating this immediate, unexpected connection, bridging continents, backgrounds, right there in the test space.
It's a vivid illustration of the real-world human relationships Alberto builds and fosters, not just online avatars.
Exactly.
And this introduction led to a discussion about online crime in Nigeria.
A truly fascinating, unscripted discussion. Alberto prompted Boston on his perception of local criminals using the internet.
And Boston was honest?
Remarkably so. Admitted that, of course, we have the good and the bad. Standard, but honest.
And Anna contributed.
Yeah, she described this bipolar difference she observed in comments on the EFC website. That's Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
The agency fighting cybercrime there.
Right. She noted the stark contrast between the Yahoo boys, the fraudsters.
That term for internet scammers, often linked to Nigeria.
Yeah, involved in advance fee scams, online deception, and the many Nigerian citizens genuinely ashamed of these activities and their country being associated with them.
So a nuanced perspective.
Very nuanced. From both Boston and Anna, it allowed for a deeper look into the societal complexities.
And they discuss the hierarchy within crime.
They did. How the top bad people are like employers, largely untouchable by authorities due to a power torso.
A power torso, what does that mean?
Signifying their immense influence, their immunity, like an untouchable core of power.
So this wasn't a superficial chat.
Not at all. It delved into systemic issues that empower these criminals. Contexts you rarely hear publicly, all stemming from Alberto bringing these disparate voices together.
And Anna's insights weren't just theoretical, were they? He came from deep immersion.
Exactly. She revealed her own unique and frankly quite risky method of research.
What did she say?
She said, "I've been hiding out in scammer groups for sort of over 6 years now and researching and studying what goes on."
Wow. Hiding out in scammer groups.
Yeah, so I kind of get a really holistic view. I work with victims, but I also hide out with the scammers as well.
That shows incredible commitment. Understanding the problem from all angles.
And a willingness to step into risky, uncomfortable territory for knowledge.
The fact she shared such a personal, potentially dangerous detail in an unscripted moment, in a test space.
It speaks volumes about the comfortable, trusting atmosphere Alberto created. She felt safe enough.
And in this same candid environment, Alberto also introduced the upcoming participation of someone called Spider-Bee.
Yes, Spider-Bee, described as a black hat activist from the Anonymous movement.
Okay, a black hat activist. What does that entail? Hacking for activism.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Using skills typically associated with malicious intent, but for what they perceive as a greater good. Often ethically ambiguous, maybe illegal activities.
And Alberto clearly respects and trusts this person.
Very clearly. He highlighted Spider-Bee's complete openness about having been on the dark side of hacking to make money.
Make money how?
Admitting to past romance scamming on Instagram, even involvement in supplying information for hitman services on the dark web. Heavy stuff.
Wow. Okay.
That's intense.
Extremely intense. And Alberto noted Spider-Bee's unique psychology, observing that while Spider-Bee claimed he could never be caught for romance scams because he knows how it works, for other crimes, he merely stated, "They haven't arrested me yet."
Revealing his awareness of persistent risk.
Exactly. Yet continuing his actions, driven by his beliefs, Alberto's ability to bring someone like Spider-Bee, operating in these morally ambiguous, dangerous corners of the internet, into a public conversation.
It's a profound testament to the trust he inspires.
Absolutely. Spider-Bee chose to be open with Alberto about his past and present. This unique relationship is clearly reciprocal, built on shared understanding, and crucially, a lack of judgment from Alberto.
Now, if you thought the discussion couldn't get any more personal,
It wraps up again.
the test space took an even more intimate turn. Alberto's own fiancée, whom he met online, unexpectedly joined the call.
Wow, okay. Also unplanned. Totally spontaneous. Another moment showcasing the deep human connections fostered in this unique environment, revealing unexpected vulnerability.
So what did she share?
She candidly shared her deeply personal struggle, her ongoing painful divorce from what she called a narcissistic ex-husband
Oh, wow.
who was making her life as miserable as possible. She detailed how he was using their 3 daughters as tools for control.
Terrible. A pattern of post-separation abuse and economic abuse, the sources say.
Yes. And she revealed his identity, a former Polish officer from Finland, now working for the European Union Commission in Brussels.
High profile.
And most strikingly, she shared how this ex-husband had falsely accused Alberto of being an online scammer during their divorce proceeding.
No way, directly linking the personal attacks against Alberto to the very theme they were discussing.
Exactly. Underscoring the real-world impact of his past, even after his exoneration. It showed listeners his history wasn't just a distant event. It was actively impacting his personal life right now.
That's incredibly powerful context.
And it raises this huge question, doesn't it? How did she, having been vulnerable online before, now facing accusations that Alberto himself was a scammer?
How did she come to trust Alberto so completely, so quickly?
Her answer is so insightful, it gets right to the core of this deep dive.
What did she say?
She said, I know I did a really crazy thing, but it was I really trusted Alberto already, and I knew so much about him.
Knew so much about him. That transparency again.
And it was like, Alberto isn't the person who is hiding behind some name or anonymous profile.
Right. He's not anonymous.
So it's kind of a little bit different story with him. Otherwise, I wouldn't trust him that much, probably.
That is a powerful, almost raw endorsement of his radical transparency. Proof that for some, a known, even controversial past is far more trustworthy than the anonymity cloaking online predators.
She found safety in his open book.
It seems so. This direct expression of trust unequivocally underscores that transparency as the key factor. It wasn't blind faith. It was based on knowing so much about him.
Implying his open sharing had built this profound, undeniable foundation.
Exactly. And what's more, Alberto also shared his own anxieties about their initial meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Revealed his nervousness when she traveled alone to Uruguay for the first time after they met online.
He was worried about her safety.
Freaked out, he said. So much so that he sent her copies of my passport, my phone bill, my phone number, everything to share with her family.
Wow. To ensure she felt safe, supported, that they knew who he was.
It highlights his personal stake in this whole topic of online trust and risk. He practices what he preaches, cares about the safety of those he connects with.
And his willingness to express this vulnerability about his own relationship, his fears.
Further cemented that environment of candor and mutual respect in the space.
You could really hear the pain, but also the strength in her voice when she shared her story.
A stark reminder these online challenges have very real, very painful human consequences for whole families.
And Alberto's response to her sharing was just as raw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Unguarded.
Totally. You could hear his deep emotional connection to her struggle. He openly expressed his anger at her ex-husband.
Saying, I hate seeing her suffering the way this guy is making her suffer.
And declared, I support her with my heart. I love her to death.
This raw, unscripted exchange, mirroring the unpredictable personal nature of online interactions.
It further showcased Alberto's unique ability to foster such profound candor, courageous sharing, even about his own imperfections, anxieties, fierce protectiveness.
He's not just a host in these moments.
No, he's a deeply empathetic individual using his own life, his own vulnerabilities, as a canvas for the themes he discusses.
Which clearly resonates deeply with the people he brings into his orbit.
This personal investment, this willingness to be truly seen, flaws and all, it's a huge part of why people trusted him enough to reveal their own complex stories.
So pulling back from these deeply personal moments in the test space,
Right.
what does this unfolding tapestry of trust and vulnerability mean for the larger main event? The romance scams with Anna Rowe Twitter space.
Well, this unique ability of Alberto's to create that environment of profound trust and openness wasn't just limited to the test space.
It was the foundation.
It was the very foundation for the main event, and it's precisely why that event was so extraordinary.
The main discussion was described as exceptionally diverse and unprecedented.
Precisely because Alberto's radical transparency, His willingness to share his own flaws and past mistakes effectively disarmed others.
He acknowledged the difficulty, right? Getting those who were behind on this to speak openly.
He did, yet he succeeded. This allowed individuals, many of whom hardly go public, as the sources say.
To feel comfortable, like with no other context.
This level of comfort, where people who usually operate in shadows or protect their privacy felt safe enough to share their deepest experiences. It directly reflects the unique trust Alberto cultivated.
Through that authentic, vulnerable approach.
It's a testament to his character that he could bridge such seemingly insurmountable divides.
And when you look at the lineup, Alberto managed to assemble, for the main event, Anna Rowe, Brett Johnson, Scorpio, Spider-Bee. It really makes you pause.
It really does. Difficult to imagine them sharing a stage normally.
First, you had Anna Rowe, the victim advocate, bringing crucial insights into psychological manipulation, that no blame, no shame mantra for victims.
It's essential perspective. But then you had Brett Johnson.
The self-proclaimed original internet godfather.
I mean, for context, Brett's a former high-profile cybercriminal, 39 felonies on his record, escaped from prison once.
And now works to protect businesses. Quite the turnaround.
An incredible arc. Someone who has truly lived on the absolute edge of cybercrime.
And his contribution was valuable.
Invaluable. He offered this chilling, almost clinical insight into the criminal mindset.
How so?
Detailing how perpetrators often compartmentalize, viewing victims not as individuals but purely as marks or targets.
Devoid of empathy.
Completely. He explained how this detachment allows them to operate without remorse, seeing it purely as a transaction, a business model.
He said this psychological distancing is key to their longevity in scamming.
Yes. And he spoke about the evolution of cybercrime, how it's become far more sophisticated, scalable, moving from individuals to organized groups.
Leveraging the very trust mechanisms we use online every day.
Exactly. These weren't theoretical musings. They were actionable breakdowns of the how and why behind online deception, straight from someone who orchestrated it.
Then you had Scorpio.
Right. A cybersecurity expert bringing a unique dual perspective.
Highly skilled, but also a victim herself.
Yes, of a stolen valor scam, where someone falsely claims military service to gain trust, sympathy, maybe money.
Her experience highlighted how emotional compromise can make even experts susceptible.
Precisely. Her insights were particularly powerful because she could speak from both the technical and the deeply personal standpoint.
She detailed how her professional knowledge didn't fully immunize her.
Didn't immunize her from emotional manipulation. She explained the psychological hooks scammers use, how they exploit vulnerabilities.
And how difficult it is to recognize you're being scammed when emotions are involved.
Her story underscored that online deception isn't just about weak passwords or clicking bad links. It's profoundly about human psychology, exploiting trust.
Even a cybersecurity pro can be targeted.
And how quickly lines blur when a scammer expertly crafts a narrative playing on your compassion or desires.
And finally, rounding out this panel, there was Spider-Bee again.
Spider-Bee, the black hat activist from Anonymous, offering those controversial but deeply informative views on the technical underbelly of online crime.
Including using social engineering to hunt child predators and traffickers.
Yes, it's an extraordinary lineup that truly you just wouldn't see happen anywhere else.
And Spider-Bee pulled back the curtain on the tech side.
He really did. Explained in detail how sophisticated stealers' malware work, siphoning off passwords, personal data from devices, everything.
Creating a complete digital profile for scammers to exploit.
And he walked through drive-by downloads, how visiting a compromised website can install malicious software without you even clicking anything.
Turning passive browsing into an active vulnerability.
He explained the dark ingenuity behind these tools, how they automate victim compromise.
And he spoke about his own controversial work, tracking predators.
Yes, using social engineering, manipulating people to track and expose child predators online. Detailing the technical and psychological methods he uses to infiltrate their networks, gather intel, then report them.
Offering a rarely heard perspective on the ethical gray areas of cyber activism.
And the lengths some go to fight digital evils.
So this convergence, a victim advocate, a reformed perpetrator, an expert victim, a gray hat activist.
It provided this truly comprehensive, multidimensional understanding of online deception.
From initial targeting, psychological manipulation, technical execution, to devastating impact.
Brett Johnson's chilling insight into criminal psychology, Spyreby's technical explanations of malware like Stealers, unparalleled insider perspectives.
Stuff you just don't get from conventional security advice.
And this depth, this authenticity, it's a direct result of the profound trust placed in Alberto.
Participants felt safe enough to open up, not just because of his transparency.
But also his track record of respecting and defending those who speak on his platform, like we saw with his immediate defense of Boston in the test space.
So the reward for Anna's bravery in accepting that risky invitation
Was immense. Alberto's unique approach didn't just provide a platform. It fostered an environment of trust and openness.
allowing for a multidimensional discussion far beyond conventional advice.
It demonstrated that sometimes the most unexpected collaborations, led by individuals who embrace their full, complex selves,
And aren't afraid to share their vulnerabilities.
can create the most impactful conversations and lead to a richer, deeper understanding of some of the most pressing issues in our digital world. #tag outro. What's truly fascinating here, when you boil it down, is the sheer power of transparency.
Yeah.
Alberto Hill's unflinching willingness to be open about his own complex past, his vulnerabilities, anxieties, it didn't deter people.
Yeah, quite the opposite.
Instead, it built this unique kind of trust, enabling a discussion that offered unparalleled insights into the human side of cybercrime,
Bringing together voices that would otherwise remain silent or siloed.
lost to the public discourse.
This deep dive really highlights how even in the most sensitive, complex areas like online deception, true progress can come from these unexpected collaborations, forged not by spotless reputations or carefully curated personas,
No polish needed.
but by radical honesty and a shared commitment to addressing difficult truths head-on.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that authenticity can be a far more potent connector than perceived perfection, especially now.
Especially in a world grappling with digital challenges.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises an important question for you, the listener.
What's that?
In a world where artificial intelligence is rapidly blurring the lines between reality and illusion, creating ever more sophisticated deception,
And where trust is constantly challenged by evolving threats.
how can individuals and communities cultivate similar environments? Environments of radical transparency and courageous sharing.
To build collective defense and understanding.
Yeah. How do we replicate this?
Maybe consider how being open about our own experiences, our own vulnerabilities, might not be a weakness to hide.
But maybe a potent weapon.
Right, a potent weapon in fostering genuine connection and building stronger, more resilient communities, both online and off.
The courage to be truly seen, as Alberto Hill has shown.
It might just be our greatest defense against the unseen threats of the digital age. Something to think about.